Klaus Schwab himself talks about AI replacing elections altogether. There was an incredible clip of him saying we should be able to detect what the people want and AI can give us the result. It was just shocking.
You do not even have to have elections anymore because you can already predict and afterwards you can say, why do we need elections? Because we know what the result will be.
But the thing about the World Economic Forum is they really are a conspiracy theorist's worst dream come true.
With a new digital ID system. Under the framework, the WEF proposes collecting data from many aspects of people's everyday lives. That's a quote. Through their devices, telecommunication networks, and third-party service providers. The WEF suggests that this data collection dragnet would allow a digital ID. Now listen to this. It's very narrow. It would allow a digital ID to scoop up data on people's online behavior, purchase history, network usage, credit history, biometrics, names, national identity numbers, and medical history. Plus your travel history, social accounts, e-government accounts, bank accounts, energy uses, health stats, education, and I love this one, and more. What's left? Once the digital ID has access to this huge, highly personal set of data, the WEF proposes using it to decide whether users are allowed to, quote, own and use devices, quote, open bank accounts, quote, carry out online financial transactions, quote, conduct business transaction, quote, access insurance and treatment, book trips, still quoting, go through border control between countries or regions, still quoting, access third-party services that rely on social media logins, file taxes, vote, collect benefits, end quote.
For the global business community, the top concern for the next 2 years is not conflict or climate. It is disinformation and misinformation, followed closely by polarization within our societies.
I'm terrified that anyone like Klaus Schwab or his muse, Yuval Noah Harari, he's the guy who said the future for most people is just doing nothing, video games and drugs. He called people useless people.
That is the house of evil.
Yeah, and again, even there's different layers. There's the sanctum sanctorum, the very inner sanctum. That would be where Klaus Schwab and people like Larry Fink and Chrystia Freeland have their private confabs with the Bill Gateses and the George Soroses. Those are off the record. Unlike if some of those meetings were to happen in Washington, D.C. or Ottawa, Canada, there's no lobbyist registry here. There's no disclosure or transparency. There's no access to information requests. What's done in Davos stays in Davos. There are certain things that they want to show the world, and so certain things are live streamed, and those are crazy enough.
As shocking as they are themselves.
Yeah, but I think the reason why people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to come here as official guests and with pavilions is because there's so much dirty money and so many dirty deals done here. It's really unrivaled that way. I mean, the United Nations, obviously there's a lot of politics and diplomacy and national security and military stuff, but this is where the BlackRocks of the world and the McKinseys of the world do their commerce beyond the eyesight of the SEC or the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act or the Foreign Agent Registration Act. This is basically a parallel crypto government. And people always say, oh, just because the World Economic Forum says you're going to eat bugs or you're going to own nothing and you're going to like it, people say, well, that's not binding. No, but it's certainly persuasive. For example, in Canada's case, if you've got the Deputy Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland, listening to all this Build Back Better, Great Reset, eat bug stuff, and then she goes back to Canada and it pops up as Canadian policy, yeah, the final decision, I suppose, was made in Ottawa, but the laboratory for the bad ideas is here. This is a bad ideas laboratory that is being pumped through the arteries of the world into every country.
what we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina, and so on, so that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more, half of this cabinet, are for our actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.